What's going on, basketball fans? It's Chuckin Buckets. We here live, man. That's right. It's Coach I, KB, and the Stat Guy. We're here to talk SEC Women's Basketball Tournament preview. What's going on, KB?
Man, nothing much, man. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, man. I'm ready to talk this tournament bracket, man. I think it's gonna be more interesting than people think, man. The SEC season this year has been really interesting, especially these last couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it, man. Real competitive with the two new teams kind of coming into the conference, man. And kind of as you kind of alluded to, man, we hitting the beginning of March, and you know what time that means? It's tournament time, baby.
That's right. That's right. Stat Guy, how you feeling tonight, my guy? South Carolina winning the toss. You should be happy.
Yeah, Aaliyah Boston's big head in the way, so you can't see my coin flip champion, but it's all good. Hey, man, it is officially March. Let the madness begin.
Big facts, man. Big facts. We appreciate y'all joining us tonight. We'll be going live through the bracket, talking about each round, who we think might win, upsets that might occur, players that might stand out. All of this to get ready for that NCAA tournament too, because playing good, we know team sports is a momentum game. You know what I'm saying, KB?
Yeah.
Stat, we talked about this a little bit in the chat, man. Like you got to have a little good momentum going into March. So even if you're seeding for the NCAA tournament won't be hurt by your play in the SEC tournament, you still want to win. You know what I'm saying? So you have that good mojo riding into the middle of March, so you can get that March Madness going, man. But what I ain't gonna hold you, man. If y'all joining us on Facebook today, hit that like button for us and share it so we can bring some more people into the live. If you're on YouTube, like the content, man, and subscribe to the channel, man. Here on Chuck and Buckets on the Fan Addict Sports Network. The Fan Addict Sports Network is dedicated to all things SEC sports, mostly football and basketball. Chuck and Buckets is dedicated to South Carolina women's basketball, also talking about the rest of the teams in the SEC as well, man. If you haven't checked it out, go check out some of the content. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you might want to see. But without further ado, man, we're gonna hold you, man. We're gonna jump right into this thing, man. Y'all came to see us talk about this bracket. We want y'all input in the comments as well. If you feel the need or the urge to, let us know what you're thinking. So we're gonna go ahead and share the bracket. All right, man. So we got us a bracket here. All right, I just filled in winner so far, but we'll go through each round and each game to talk about what we think is going to happen, and then I'll change it as we see fit, man. This will be the Chuck and Buckets official bracket. Majority wins. It's three of us, so whoever, if it's either going to be unanimous or two over the one. So let's just jump into it, man. We're going to start with game number one, man. Texas A&M versus Tennessee. This is going to be on the SEC Network. These games start Wednesday at 11 a.m. in Greenville, South Carolina. If you're going to pull up to the tourney, Chuck and Buckets will be in the house on Friday and Saturday. But let's jump into it. KB, what you thinking, man? I mean, on paper, this seems like an easy dub, but what you thinking Tennessee Texas A&M?
No, you're right, man. When you say on paper, man, but we've seen an inconsistent Tennessee team over the last few weeks, and you touched on momentum, man, and they're coming off a 2-game losing streak, if I'm not mistaken, man. But they're one of the teams that need to bounce back, need to carry some momentum going into the tournament. I do see them pulling that out though against the Texas A&M team, but yeah, man, they need a win. They're in a spot where they need to get a win. Confidence builder.
Okay, Tennessee for KB. I'm gonna jump in here before I let Stat jump in. Listen, man, Tennessee on 2-game slide, man. They lost in you know what I'm saying? They lost bad to Kentucky last week, and then they lost barely to Georgia, who definitely they should have beaten handily, but they lost at home on senior night. And Georgia was up at one point like 31-10 or 41-20. It was a 21-point lead. So what they did come back. I don't know if that's great mojo. Temu, Texas A&M, early in the season they played better. As they went down the stretch, they kind of, I don't know if they just lost interest or what. But Joni Taylor needs a good showing at least. Texas A&M got Kayla Wells going against Tennessee's Flau'Jae Cooper. They both 6-foot guards. I'm interested to see that matchup, man. But I'm like you, KB. I think Tennessee just too deep for them with what is it? Whitehorn, Spearman, and Cooper. I think they'll just be too much. Stat Guy, what you got on it, man?
Yeah, man. So crazy. You look at this A&M team that went 3-13 in conference, and one of those 3 wins is against a Kentucky team that finished 4th, and it's like they've had some strong showings earlier in conference play, and then I guess the grind just got to be too much for them. They've looked rough down the stretch. Tennessee, with the way they finished the season, you're talking about Tom Crean had them a guaranteed lock to be a top 16 seed, get to host the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. They've now fallen off of that line, and really there's no path to get it back. I know with y'all two already outvote me that they're on to the next round, but I'm actually taking A&M to pull the upset in round 1.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if A&M gets the upset here. Johnny Taylor's a good coach. I know they haven't had a great season, but like I said, that mojo that Tennessee got going these last 2 weeks, like we said, and like Farrell, our guy getting in, we appreciate you getting in here, Farrell. Say Tennessee just lost to Georgia, right? And that's my alma mater and all, Georgia. But hey, me and KB talking about, hey man, that's a bad loss, regardless of how you look at it for Tennessee. You can't lose at home on senior night to a team you probably was favored by like double digits over. So I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M gets that dub right there, man. Now, game 2 is between Arkansas and Georgia, 2 women's programs who kind of just can't get it together. I don't know. They won enough games not to be the bottom 2 seeds. Let's just say that. Georgia hangs on their defense. Arkansas, they don't really have a star player or anything like that. Stat, what's your thoughts on Arkansas, Georgia?
Man, I love Georgia's defense. I really do. If they could, they are young. They are really young, and I really think if this team will stay together and not get decimated by the transfer portal, I think that we could be talking about this Georgia team in 2 years as a threat with this class of freshmen that they have. When they played in the regular season, Georgia squeaked out a 62-61 win at the Steg. Obviously, this is going to be up the road in Greenville, but I am going to take your dogs to pull off the win and see if they can't make enough of a run to go to the NCAA tournament.
Right. I think I'm, offense wins games, defense wins championships. I feel like Georgia does play stifling defense. Sometimes they can look lackluster on the offensive end, though. We've seen the good defense they played, albeit they did get blown out by Texas the last time they played in the second half. That first half, they held Texas to like 26 points, and that's no easy feat. So I'm going to go with the dogs here as well to get the win over Arkansas. KB, what you got on this game?
Yeah, man, not a lot really here to say. I think Stat Guy, you might have touched on it because I was trying to figure out, what is this Georgia team missing? But maybe it's just some inexperience, and maybe they get that over the next year or two. I think they're definitely a good example of a team that just can't put all phases of the game together in one game. Like say, you may see good defense one game, you may see some pretty good offense one game, but being able to put 4 quarters together. I just hadn't seen it out of the Bulldogs, but I am giving them credit as we started out the show with as far as momentum, even though it was an average Tennessee team, maybe at this point that we may be looking at a Tennessee team that they beat. But let's carry that momentum into the tournament, and so I like UJ as well, kind of pulling through at least the first round.
All right, man. Next up is Missouri, Mississippi State, 6:00. This will be the second session on the first day. Missouri and Mississippi State, to me, kind of similar teams, kind of up and down conference seasons. I don't know what to make of this one. KB, help me out, dog. I really don't know what to make of this one, to be honest with you. Missouri, at one point, you thought it was pretty decent, but then they kind of went downhill. And Mississippi State, I just don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, man. I think kind of like Georgia, man. And if we look overall from the as far as SEC, we got top half of the SEC and kind of bottom half of the SEC. And usually that bottom half, unfortunately, is just teams that just can't put it together for 4 full quarters or even for a season, man. And you may see injuries here, maybe it's some coaching here and there. But I do see Mississippi State pulling this thing out, but I think it's a close game. I think it's one of them games that come down to 1 to 2 possessions at the end of the game and kind of gets us hyped going into the tournament and gives us that little taste of March Madness, man.
Right. Could 2 equally matched teams could be our first buzzer beater game of the tournament. Stat Guy, what you got on it?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. Mississippi State, you talk about a true bubble team. Mississippi State is right there on the bubble. And this is a have-to-win game. I think if they lose this game, they find themselves heading to the NIT. But likewise, I feel like if they win this game, they're locked in for the tournament. And I think with that kind of pressure, you don't know what team's going to show up, but I expect Mississippi State to win this game handily.
I'm gonna go with y'all, man. I think Mississippi State does. They're a little bit more urgent in their need to win this game. So, like Stat Guy said, man, they're a bubble team. So I look for Mississippi State to come in. But I'm like KB. I do think this will be a close game, and buzzer beater or not, I think this goes down to the wire. So the last game on the first day of the tourney is Auburn versus Florida. Now, when they revealed the 16 last week, Auburn was in the 12th spot, but then they took a L to the Dogs. So that wasn't good for them, making them fall a couple of spots behind the Dogs. Florida's another team, like KB said, man, it's bottom, I would say bottom fourth of the conference or so. Definitely bottom half or bottom fourth of the conference. They just kind of, you don't know. It's like a coin flip, kind of like the Gamecocks and the Longhorns trying to get that number one seed. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I'm gonna go with Florida here. Again, that's that momentum thing. I think Auburn losing to Georgia wasn't a great look. I think Florida played a first half decent against Texas. Texas ended up winning really comfortably yesterday. But give me Florida over Auburn. And I threw up a little bit in my mouth saying that the Gators are going to win the game. Stat, what you got on this one, man?
Yeah, both of these teams have some pieces that, if they were elsewhere in the country, might be getting talked about for some Player of the Year consideration or Conference Player of the Year. They both got some players that can go. Some younger girls. They got some veterans. So I'm definitely interested to see how this plays out. Me personally, I think Florida's still missing something. Even when they have played good, it feels like they still are missing something. So I'm taking Auburn to win this game.
All right, KB, what you got on it?
Yeah, Jeff, I think you kind of read my mind when it comes to that. I mean, I think the seeding may be just slightly, deceiving a little bit. I do like Auburn overall over Florida. The unfortunate thing for me, man, I've seen Florida play too many times, and I've seen how terrible they've been in certain games that they shouldn't have been terrible in. So I think that kind of carries on to this tournament aspect, and I think just another young team though as well. But give me Auburn, man, as well.
There it is. All right. So we got Auburn moving on. So that's our first round. We got Tennessee over Texas A&M meeting up with Vandy in the second round on the second day. We got Georgia over Arkansas meeting up with Reagan Beers in Oklahoma on the second day. We got Mississippi State over Missouri going to play the Egg Bowl on the hardwood. Mississippi State versus Ole Miss in the second round. And then we got the Iron Bowl on the hardwood in the second round for the women's basketball, Auburn versus Alabama. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. If you're just joining us, it is Chuckin Buckets here on FanX Sports Network. We are doing our SEC women's basketball preview live, man. That's right. If you are going to be in the area in Greenville, South Carolina, Chuckin Buckets will be there on Friday and Saturday. So we should have some merch on, so y'all know if you can't recognize our face, you should be able to see the logo somewhere, man. So, but do definitely appreciate y'all joining us. We appreciate everybody that's done watched all the videos that we've been doing this year. Of course, we going to keep the videos coming and go even harder next season. Make sure you like and subscribe and share it with other basketball fans, man, because we just want to build a community of good basketball fans, man. So on to the second round. We got we're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up, man. We got the Iron Bowl stat guy on the hardwood, women's basketball, Alabama, who just beat Tennessee in overtime. Sarah Ashley Barker and company got that win in overtime. Not versus Tennessee, versus LSU last Thursday, and then they got to take on Auburn. What you got on this game?
Yeah, I really like that Bama team. Obviously they're not good enough to beat the upper echelon in women's basketball. They're not that top 5 quality. But when you talk about just like a quality team that can give a team a game, this is one of the things that the women's game, I feel like, separates themselves from the men's game in the parity aspect. And Alabama is starting to kind of fill that gap if we can get more teams like that. But I think if they do face Auburn, they're going to blow Auburn out.
Big facts, big facts. KB, what you got on this Iron Bowl matchup?
Man, I'm thinking the same thing as Jeff, man. I mean, it's just a real good Bama team, man. Overall, like I say, you're seeing it on both ends of the court. And it's a good SEC battle, man. Even if you think football, I think you can still bring this same little small rivalry into this basketball segment as well, man. So I like the game, man, but I do see double-digit win from them.
Big facts. I think we all on the same accord here. They got a double-digit win the first time they played. I think Sarah Ashley Barker and Essence and Zay. Listen, man, I think this is going to be way too much for Auburn. I don't think it's going to be a lot to see here. I mean, I think the first quarter may be emotionally, entertaining, but I think after it's all said and done, Alabama with the 15-plus point win here. So everybody on the same page, give us Alabama to win that against Auburn and move on to face LSU on Friday. All right, next game, stat guy is we'll start with KB. Next game is that Egg Bowl on the hardwood. It's Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. What you got in that one?
I think it's another 10-point plus win, man. When we get into these second rounds, you start separating the cream from the crop type deal, right? So I like Ole Miss to kind of pull this thing away. Just kind of a complete team, not a dominating type team that we've kind of seen from Ole Miss over the last few weeks or even this whole season, man. But man, give me Ole Miss probably like plus 15 on that.
Stat guy, you agree with the plus 15 Ole Miss over Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl on the hardwood?
I don't. I am taking Ole Miss, but I believe just their style of play won't allow them to beat Mississippi State by 15. I think they win comfortably, just as far as in controlling the game, but I don't know if they can catch them by that. But even they could be up 7 or 8, and from coaching, man, sometimes you up 7 or 8 or down 7 or 8, and it feels like you down 30.
That's right. I think Ole Miss is the better team for sure. But what I don't know is, like you say, style of play. Styles make fights. I think they played to the level of their competition, as we saw Ole Miss give South Carolina a pretty decent game for the most of the game. But then they'll turn around and not have a good game against a team like a Georgia or something like that. So give me Ole Miss for the win, but I definitely think it's a single-digit win. So then we got Oklahoma and UGA for that 1:30 game. Oklahoma won the first go round. They got Reagan Beers. Reagan Beers is averaging 18-9, hitting 42% from the 3-point line. And then they also got Peyton Verhulst. Give me Oklahoma comfortably over my dogs. Unfortunately, stat guy, what you think?
Yeah, look, now that you're in March, the key for Oklahoma was get to March with Reagan Beers healthy. Obviously, she's dealt with a shoulder injury and some other stuff throughout the year, but I feel like she's about as healthy as you could expect her to be this time of year. And now you ride a horse who's been here before and knows what it takes to win this time of year.
KB, anything different or anything to add to that Oklahoma UGA matchup there on the hardwood?
Nah, not a lot to say, man. Definitely Oklahoma in this one. I think this is kind of where UGA their ship stops right here. But definitely give me Oklahoma, man. I think we even see them kind of going into this game and like being able to work on some fundamentals and almost looking past this game a little bit. Hopefully not. But yeah, just getting back to the basics for them and just looking ahead. Unfortunately.
Okay, I think the most interesting game of day 2 will be the Tennessee two-step, Vandy and Tennessee. Vandy did get a win over Tennessee this year, and it was when Tennessee was actually ranked pretty high. So I like Michaela Blakes. I like Pierre. I don't like the mojo that Tennessee's entered in the tournament. So give me Michaela Blakes to have a big night and the win over the Volunteers on day 2. What about you, KB?
Man, same thing, man. I know you say you like Micaiah Blake's, man. I think I love Micaiah Blake's game, and this is early on in her career. Definitely, we're going to see her for years to come, and probably definitely in the W as well. But I think they're definitely catching Tennessee at a good time as well. Unfortunately, Tennessee's kind of trying to find an identity and kind of seeing like what's working, what's not, and unfortunately, we're too late in the year to be finding that out. we should have found that out kind of early in the season, man. But definitely give me Vandy. I think we still see like maybe a 10-point game, but it's close going in, and we just see some foul shots towards the end.
There it is. Stat guy, you got something to add? You got a different take on it?
Yeah, I got a different take. Obviously, I don't think Tennessee's getting out of the first round because of their struggles. I will
Right.
tell you this. If y'all are right and Tennessee does get out of the first round, Vandy ain't stopping them. If they get that first round win, they've clearly corrected something to get past A&M, and then you're going to see what Tennessee does. That full court press, the constant subs. I think that's something that I do know Vandy beat them the first time they played, but that's something different that you can't really prepare for, that you don't see every day in practice. And in this tournament time when it's quick turnarounds, very, very difficult to prepare for. But I'm going to take Tennessee. It's going to be a close game either way. But if this is the matchup, I got Tennessee winning by about 4-6.
Okay, yeah, and I think you're right. It's going to be interesting to see that style that Tennessee plays, whether they can hold that up. Because you're playing, it's not like the NCAA tournaments where you get a day of rest or 2 days of rest in between games. This is like back to back to back to back games, and I know they go about 10 deep, but they do like the full court press and play up tempo all game. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that style holds up. So that goes. That's it for the second day. We're going into the quarterfinals with Vandy playing South Carolina at 12 p.m., OU playing Kentucky at 2:30. That's the morning session. And then you got the night session with Ole Miss taking on Texas and Bama LSU rematch from last week at that 8:30 to cap off that day. We'll talk about, let's start with the Lady Gamecocks first. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about Dawn and the co-champions of the regular season, the SEC. What you got, stat guy? We'll let you start this one out, man.
Yeah, they're regardless of who that first game is, they're walking into a buzzsaw. South Carolina's one win away from locking up one of those number one seeds in the NCAA tournament, avoiding having to go all the way out to Portland to play their basketball games and staying in the Southeast to play in Birmingham. So I think whoever it is, they're running into something nasty. I think what you saw in the fourth quarter against Kentucky defensively, I think we're going to see that type of defensive effort the whole game. And it's going to be it might be a low scoring game for us if we're not hitting shots, but I think regardless of who we play, South Carolina is going to be stifling defensively.
Yeah, I think having to play the day before and not having another day to prepare. I know all these teams have played each other at least once, but not having another day to prepare for South Carolina coming in. I know the first quarter could look a little, maybe even most of the first half could look a little close because South Carolina, sometimes when you sit a long time too, KB, we know this from like when we had those AAU tournaments, you know what I'm saying? Like we just have to sit a long time and then the other team is playing to get that sweat going. They could come in kind of hot, but I think overall South Carolina is just too much for Vandy and they get a double-digit win there. KB, what you got?
Yeah, man. Definitely no different here, man. I think what we see from the South Carolina team, which we're going to see different from a lot of these other teams, is just really experience. Experience just being in the tournament, SEC tournament, experience from being in the NCAA tournament, and coaching staff experience down the line. And I do think we do see a different South Carolina team than we have seen in the season because it's time to kind of turn it up a little bit. And I think we'll kind of see that from Dawn and her coaching staff and also these players as well. So unfortunately, kind of feel sorry for Vandy coming into this, but I think we see a domination going into this game.
Right. Now going down to who South Carolina would face in the semifinals on Saturday. KB, I'm gonna let you start off. You got Kentucky and OU. What you got on that one?
Man, I think this is another good one, man. I think we're coming down to 1-2 possession game. As much as I love Kenny Brooks' coaching style, we talked about it before, just coming from Virginia Tech, and just a lot of respect for him, man. But I think we see a good Oklahoma team that's kind of come into this SEC conference and like, hey, we can play ball too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can play ball in this conference as well. So I give me Oklahoma. I think it's a 1-2 possession type game though. And it's another goodie, man.
Got Oklahoma over Kentucky. Stat guy, what you got?
Look, I think that Reagan Beers is going to be the best player on the court in that matchup, but I do think it's going to be a close game. And in the end of the close game, I don't care who it is in the SEC. Give me Georgia Morey with the ball in her hands with the game on the line because she is a straight killer. I'm going to take Kentucky to pull off the win.
There it is. We got Killian Crown. What's going on? Appreciate you getting in. Say Kentucky has already beat Oklahoma. That's right. They beat them 95-86 on February the 2nd. It was a high scoring affair. I think it'll be the same thing, you know what I'm saying, this time around. And I'm kind of with Stat. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I think Reagan Beers is going to have a good game. I think Verhulst is going to have a good game. But I like the Twin Towers for Kentucky. And at the end, again, if it's a single possession game and you got Georgia Amore on your team, you know, I'm always for the team that got the guards that can handle the ball, because you got to get it to the, you know what I'm saying, to the big. So give me Kentucky as well to move on to the next round to have a rematch against South Carolina. All right, let me get this off of here. All right, next game we got Ole Miss taking on Texas. Stat, you go ahead and jump in there and start on that one.
Yeah, so Texas is in the same boat as South Carolina. They're one win away from locking up one of those coveted 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. I do like Ole Miss. I feel like Ole Miss has played some good basketball lately. I just think Texas is going to have too much for them. We talk about it all the time. If there's anybody in the country that wants to hunt her shot, it's Madison Booker. And Mitty Matty, as they like to call her, I look for her to go crazy in that mid-range with that little 10 to 12-foot jumper she likes.
Right. KB, what you thinking about this one?
Yeah, same way we're here, man. Another team that's kind of coming to the SEC. Definitely a Madison Booker fan, but I think their front court is just too dominant, which we've seen personally, unfortunately, when it comes to that front court. But yeah, man, give me Texas coming into this thing, just really kind of handling it throughout. Not really a blowout, but you can just, it's one of them games you like. Texas has been in control the whole game, but it's still a close game.
Right. That's how I feel. I feel like Texas is going to control this game all the way through. Oldacre and Taylor Jones, just too much to download for Ole Miss to handle. I think Ole Miss plays good team basketball. They don't have one player that really stands out. I want to say when I looked up the stats, it's like, you know, they don't have anybody averaging over 12 for the year. I think some of the averages went up in conference play, but like over time. So they just play really good team ball. But I think, you know, like I say, the bigs down low with Madison Booker and Rory Harmon, I think it'll just be way too much. And again, maybe not a 20-plus point win, but definitely a comfortable win where Texas never feels like they're in jeopardy. Now, this last game on the quarterfinal day is a rematch of last Thursday. Bama beat LSU in overtime last Thursday. I think we see another game like this, but I think Bama comes away with the win. LSU, again, lost 2 games in a row, not good momentum. Plus, Flau'Jae is not playing. They're going to need that scoring against a Bama team that can put up points. So give me Bama for the upset here over LSU. Stat, what you got?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this because it's not in my DNA for it to go down this way. I think LSU's trying to get out of Greenville and back to Baton Rouge as soon as possible. I think that they care about this game. Whether they win the SEC tournament, whether they lose on Friday, they're a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. So there's nothing to gain or nothing to lose. Outside of maybe somebody else getting down. It would not surprise me if LSU came out absolutely flat and got punched in the mouth and just got on back to Baton Rouge. But I'm taking Alabama to win the game.
KB, what you thinking? Same thing?
Yeah, definitely. Kind of like Jeff as well. I do think LSU is just kind of want to get back to the house. I don't think I see a blowout though. I think Michaela Williams.
Right.
I mean, just too much. You know what I'm saying? Just one of my favorite kind of guards in the country right now. But I think competitive edge is too much for a blowout. But I do think Bama is going to be just a little bit too much overall without Flau'Jae in the game.
Big facts, man. Now we got our semifinal set. We got South Carolina and UK rematch from yesterday at 4:30, and then Texas Bama taking on that night game, the primetime spot at 7 p.m. Listen, if you're just not joining us, it's the Chuckin Buckets SEC Women's Basketball Tournament preview. We appreciate y'all joining us. We thank y'all for the support, man. Again, hit that like button for us, man, and share it with some other basketball fans, man, because we're gonna do an NCAA preview the same way. It'll be the Monday after. Matter of fact, we'll get the time, but make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know exactly when we go live. It should be like the Monday. I want to say it's next Monday, right? Next Monday after the tournament, we'll try to get y'all probably be around the same time, sometime between 7, 8, 9, more likely 8 or 9. So, but make sure you're paying attention to that. And again, thanks for the support. All right, let's jump into this semifinals one. I think this is gonna be. Listen, this is what I told when I got my ticket for the semifinal. I was like, this is gonna be the day. We get to see South Carolina and Texas. I was thinking we probably would get to see LSU, but knowing that Flau'Jae is not playing, I don't think. Hey, Michaela, again, like you said, Michaela and Morrow could shock me and pull off that game against Bama, because again, that'll be their first game of the tourney, but I don't think so. But it's gonna be some good basketball. We'll start with that Texas Bama game. KB, what you thinking? How that game plays out?
Definitely, man. Like you said, man, I'm definitely excited for that day too, man. But I think we see a battle right here, man, and I think we see it more on the defensive end than we see it on the offensive end when it comes to this. I think we do see a Bama team that kind of pushes Texas to the edge. But I do want to take Texas in the end of this by maybe 1 or 2 possessions. I know I kind of mentioned that before with Texas team, but I just don't think they have that blowout game in them when it comes to this type of tournament. But I do like Texas to beat Bama in a close one.
There it is. EMW Marketing Plus says rubber match. Yep. SC Texas. I think you mean rematch. Okay, yeah. SC Texas is a conference statement for the tourney and a statement for the NCAA. I definitely agree. We appreciate you jumping in. Stat guy, I'm gonna let you get in here on that Texas Bama. We'll see if you thinking what KB thinking or a little bit different, kind of like what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I like Bama, but to me, Bama just doesn't have the size to handle Texas in the post. You look at it, I mean, that's what happened when Bama played South Carolina earlier this year. It's what happened when they played Texas earlier this year. I just think maybe they'll keep it close in the first half, but that size in the post is just going to be too much. They're going to get beat up on the boards. And eventually this thing's going to get out of hand and Texas is going to win comfortably.
Listen, I don't think I am. So I gotta take on Bama. I think Bama. We always see tournaments, whether it's conference tourneys or whether it's the NCAA tournament, where teams go on a run or teams a little bit more motivated. I think Sarah Ashley Barker, being that she missed a good portion of the season hurt, and she's a 5th-year senior. I think her and Essence and Zay and Aaliyah Nye, I think they can give Texas a run for their money. The problem is, we talked about this also in our group chat, is if it's one team you don't want to be in a close game with at the end, it's Texas, because Texas knows how to win close games. I think this is a 1 or 2 possession game. I think Texas is going to win, but I think Bama is going to be on a mission this tournament. I think Sarah Ashley Barker is going to be on a mission. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes for about 25 plus against Texas, but again, Texas gets the win here. So I'm like you guys. It's a unanimous thing. So, all right, semifinal, South Carolina, Kentucky rematch. This game yesterday was not an easy win for South Carolina. South Carolina did end up, pulling away, I think, winning by 12 or so at the end. But UK definitely gave them some problems. And KB has said it. We've agreed on it in the chat. South Carolina's problem is when the other team has bigs that can hit those boards, and then you got a guard like a Georgia Amore on the outside. I think South Carolina gets the win here, but I think the game looks a lot like it did Sunday. I think, though, what we will see is earlier on in the fourth quarter, South Carolina getting a handle on this game. But I think Kentucky definitely is going to come to play, and it's not going to be an easy win. KB, what you got on this one?
Yeah, I definitely got to take SC as well. I think one advantage, excuse me, for SC, at least coming into this, like they just played, right? Like I said, we just played. We know the scouting report. We're really not changing anything. And, that's an advantage for Kentucky as well. But I think it's more for South Carolina. Excuse me, more for South Carolina because they can make more adjustments. And I think we talked about even momentum. So if we go past the Vandy game and then kind of carry this on into the Kentucky game, I do think we see a little bit more dominating experience. Excuse me, more dominating experience from a 9-10 point type win, not a 20-30 point win. We're not seeing that necessarily in this type of this late in the game. But I do like South Carolina to pull that thing out.
Yeah, we appreciate you getting in, TT. Say like, comment, and share. That is correct. We want you to like, comment, and share it. But yeah, I think we are in agreement there. All right, Stat, we're gonna let you back clean up on this and what you thinking about this South Carolina UK game.
Yeah, I think you look back to that fourth quarter Sunday of the changes and adjustments South Carolina made in the pick and roll action. What they started doing with quick double downs and swiping at the ball when the bigs would catch it for Kentucky. I think they kind of figured some stuff out to at least make it harder on them.
Mhm.
If you're Kentucky, you wish you played South Carolina 2 months ago. I think playing South Carolina the week before the tournament, that scout report's going to be too fresh, and the Gamecocks are just going to have too much talent. And I think that South Carolina will pull out the win.
There you go. There we go. So now we got our championship set rematch of the conference champion South Carolina, Texas. South Carolina getting a 67-50 win at home, and then Texas getting a 66-62 win in Austin. Anastasia Winstead says Malaysia and Joyce will come to play if we meet them again. They were okay last game. Right. We appreciate you getting in, Anastasia. So now we got a matchup. Now listen, I think if you've been following SEC women's basketball this whole season, if this isn't your championship prediction, I would like to know in the comments how'd you get to a different prediction, because I think these two have clearly been the two most dominant teams in the conference, been the most consistent teams in the conference, and I think we're in for a really good game. KB, I'm gonna let you start out on this one.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think one of our maybe our listeners maybe even touched on it in so many words, but I think this is the money game. You know what I'm saying? This is what the this is what Vegas wanted to see, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Another SC Texas matchup. Um, I do think we see kind of going back to last year, man. You know, we seen I don't know what we want to call it, maybe March Madness for Wiley. You know what I'm saying? In that Greenwood tournament, kind of
Right.
kind of do her thing, man. But I think we do see for Wiley and Joyce kind of do their thing, kind of coming off that bench, man. And South Carolina, I think they made too many adjustments from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint, and being able to learn from losses is one of their key things, man. So I think we see that bench kind of step up, even coming off their last game against Kentucky, where we needed that bench, right? Like they had to play, and that's the only way we win that particular game. So I think we take that bench momentum through this tournament, and I do see South Carolina coming on top. I think we're still under a 10-point game. This is a great Texas team. Much respect to them, but I think we see, between 8 to 10 points when it's all said and done with a South Carolina win.
All right. So listen, this is what I think. I think Texas is going to be a problem down low, like they were. You know what I'm saying? Like they always have been this season, and how they were in Austin. I think Oldacre, she's just a lot down there to handle on that offensive glass, man. I think Madison Booker is going to be a key for Texas. The first game against South Carolina, I want to say she only hit like 3 shots or something like that, or at least in the first half. I know she like Stat alluded to earlier, man. She likes to hunt her shot, and that night it was not going good for her. So this game is gonna hinge a lot on whether or not she's knocking down shots. Again, Rory Harmon is gonna have to have a big game. South Carolina on the other side, it's gonna have to be some consistency from the whole team. I mean, we've seen Joyce be consistent for the most part, but then the last couple of weeks, you know what I'm saying, we saw a game. I forgot what game we was all watching together. It was it was the Ole Miss game last Thursday, where Joyce and Fuwali didn't have the games that we thought they were going to have, but then Chloe went for a triple double, and Fagan, you know what I'm saying, went over 20 points, had herself a game. I would like to see in a game against a team like Texas, an elite team like Texas, #1 team in the nation. I would like to see them all pull it together and have a good game together. I think this is a one possession game, maybe even overtime. But give me South Carolina for the win. I'm not gonna bet against the Queen until somebody shows that they can take that championship from a Stat guy. Tell us what you think.
Look, I'll be honest, I'm torn. We were talking when they were playing in Austin, and I hated how the first half was called. Absolutely hated how the first half was called. But the more I've thought about it, these are two physical teams that want to beat you up on the offensive end and on the defensive end. They're just aggressive. I think they're going to have to call the game the same way they called it in Austin. I think you think back to this time last year, you thought the same about LSU South Carolina matching up, two physical teams on offense and defense, and then the game got ugly late because they didn't call it tight.
Right.
And I think that you're going to see that again this year, where they don't want the end of the game to get out of hand because they let them play. And so, unfortunately, I do not expect this to be the game that everybody's hoping to see because it's going to be an absolute rough show. With that said,
you think the refs are gonna take a good game away from us?
I do. I think you're gonna talk about somebody getting in foul trouble early, then maybe trying to sneak them back in, catching a third before halftime. I think it's going to be an absolute ref show and ruin what should be an amazing game of women's college basketball. And so you talk about a game being called like that. At the end of the day, South Carolina is the deepest team in the country, and so I think it favors them as long as all of their bigs don't get in foul. Now, if all their bigs get in foul trouble, it could get ugly and Texas could run them out the gym. But I think that the game is officiated horribly both ways. And I think that in the end, it'll favor South Carolina by a couple possessions.
I do think we need to see defensive Malaysia Flau'Jae come out there like she did against Kentucky, because again, if Booker gets going, listen, man, that's she can drop 10, 20, 25, 30 easy, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we need somebody on the defensive side for South Carolina to show up big. I just don't really, I think with Oldacre, I think you just say, hey, she's gonna get 12, 15 rebounds. I don't know if there's anything you really can do about that, unless like Stat Guy said, the refs are playing a big part in it. So this is gonna be an interesting game, man, for sure. I think these are definitely obviously two of the best teams in the nation, and I think we get a good show. What's going on? One Ardari says this was dope, good perspective. We appreciate you tapping in, man. Definitely. Let's see. Says, I think Texas Longhorns going to win this game 69-62. That's a similar score to the Austin. I can see it going that way as well. Like I say, I think this is a one-possession game, maybe even an overtime thriller in Greenville, South Carolina here. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if one of the teams run off either way because of like I say, both teams bring things the other team can't really match with. South Carolina with the depth and the guard play, and then Texas with the bigs down low again. And because Booker, even at guard, she's 6 foot. You know what I'm saying? So It's like they just got height across the board. So this is going to be interesting. Both coaches are really good. So we're going to be interested to see what happens here. Now what I want to go into now, fellas, is who do you think give me your KB, your tournament player MVP?
Good one. All right. Before I answer that, man, I think even one of our listeners kind of touched on was give South Carolina an advantage, man, because I really think this is a home game for South Carolina, right? Like, we're in the state of South Carolina it's a bus ride versus a plane ride for other teams, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that comfortability kind of leads into it. And we've seen how that works to their advantage. Even last year, we talked about just touched on like Flau'Jae, right? I think she has a good game going into this season, but I think I'm gonna keep it consistent, man, and go with another South Carolina freshman here with Joyce. I like Joyce being we've known her as Miss Consistent throughout the whole year, and I think it's her time to shine. This is another for Flau'Jae was last year. Like, this is my city. You know what I'm saying? I think we see that out of Joyce.
Right.
This particular tournament, and like let's show why we were number one and number two, even in the state coming out of high school. So I like Joyce as a player of the tournament.
Stat Guy, who you think the tournament MVP is?
Man, there's only one girl that can win tournament MVP, and you already know who I'm rolling with. I'm rolling with my girl Chloe.
Look, man,
I'm the biggest Chloe supporter. I'm the biggest Chloe supporter. She about to average a double-double the entire tournament. Just do her thing, little 12 and 10 type show. But I think then in that championship game, I think really, whether right or wrong, I think whoever has the best game in the championship game is going to get tournament MVP. So no matter what happens leading up to it, you get somebody go off in that championship, they're going to give them the trophy. but I like Chloe's consistency. I really have liked them kind of running the offense through and letting her facilitate a little bit at the top of the key, get 4 or 5 assists. And defensively, she's been playing a lot better as well. So I'm going to keep riding with her. She's going to be my tournament MVP.
I was initially going to say Chloe because of her consistency as well. And I think she definitely has to have a big game if they're going to beat Texas in the championship if it plays out how we said. Now, like you said, I think it does. Like, I think, going along through the tournament, it's always like, oh, she's playing good enough to be tournament MVP or definitely on all tournament team. But if you don't make it to the final, it's hard to win tournament MVP. But if there was such a thing, I would take Georgia Amore from Kentucky. I'm telling you, I've been super impressed with her down the stretch. I think she's one of the best guards in the country. And like we talked about earlier, like, at the end of the game, if you want a guard handling the ball, need to get off a shot, give me Georgia Amore. But again, you got to play in the championship to be. That's how we know that how it go in all team sports. If you don't make it to the finals in the tourney, you're not going to be tournament MVP for the most part. So give me, since you took Chloe, give me Malaysia Madness. We are going to see it, KB. She's going to play. She's going to have good defense, and we already know she's always one dribble away from an ESPN highlight. So give me Flau'Jae to be tournament MVP, man. So we got to say, I agree with that. But Tessa is due 3 levels reduction. That's right. Listen, tournament Tessa show up, and a lot of these games a couple of these games could be blowouts with South Carolina, and that'll be good leading in for the Gamecocks leading into the NCAA tournament because again, we know Tessa she can score at all levels, so that'll be interesting.
Real. That Tessa, Tourney Tessa is a real thing, like Jimmy Butler. Playoff Jimmy Butler is a real thing, right? Like I said, we've seen tournament Tessa, and I like the momentum she's had over the last couple of games, man. I think she's finally, starting to dial in with the shot, which I do think she's one of the best shooters in the country. But we're starting to see her last couple of games just on the defensive end and the offensive end, trying to, finally find it. Unfortunately, we've seen some inconsistencies with her on the defensive side early on in the season. But I mean, if I want you to find it, the time is now, and I'm glad you found it. I'm glad you found it now.
Right. Getting through the season without her being consistent for a long stretches of time is just a testament to the Gamecocks' depth. But hey, man, everybody would welcome Tourney Tessa to come in and especially in the SEC tournament again. I think Texas is a very formidable team, and it ain't gonna be no easy win. Stat, you was about to jump in and say something?
Yeah, I will say, if Texas does beat South Carolina, you will see Oaker as your tournament MVP. I think that she's the maker in that game, and you look at her having some crazy 15 and 15 type game. So she is my tournament MVP if Texas does win the tournament.
Which could definitely happen. Again, I wouldn't be shocked. Again, I think this game's going down to the wire. I'm actually, just as a basketball fan, hoping for some OT, to be honest with you. But especially since I'll be there. So I want to get my money's worth. You know what I'm saying? So
it's crazy in there, man. And I'm debating about going to the championship game now. But now, coming through this live, I'm like, man, maybe I go ahead and pull the ticket, man, because even just knowing how the atmosphere was, like me and my daughter were there last year, and we seen Cardoso hit the buzzer beater right at the 43, and the crowd going crazy, atmosphere crazy. Like we could easily see that type of game in that Texas South Carolina game.
Right, and with UK playing South Carolina pretty tough yesterday, it's kind of like, and I know you got the tickets for the morning session. It's kind of making me want to go see Kentucky OU on Friday. You know what I'm saying? It's like because that's gonna be a game too. You got the battle of the bigs. You know what I'm saying? You got Bears versus the Twin Towers. I just think it's gonna be a really good tournament in general. To be honest, if I didn't have to work and I wanted to front the bill, you know what I'm saying, I just go on. You know what I'm saying? Go downtown Greenville Wednesday, 11 o'clock, and leave leave Saturday at 5 o'clock Sunday 5 o'clock after the championship. So anything y'all got? Oh, got a comment coming in here. We say Anastasia says that gonna bring that coin flip anger with them. Texas is gonna bring that coin flip anger. Listen, what's crazy is when you watch football and you watch the coin toss. Listen, I'm not trying to get nobody in no conspiracy theories or nothing. They show so leading up to the coin toss. Anytime they showed it, they showed both sides. And then in football, when you watch the coin toss on TV, they always say heads is this team, and then they turn around and say tails. Greg Sankey never showed us the other side of the coin. He just flipped it.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Before he flipped it, they showed it had both teams' logos on it.
No, but did he hold up the coin? They showed you a coin with both sides on it.
Right,
He
right.
never. This is what I'm saying. The difference is the referee always shows the camera live both sides of the coin, whereas they showed us both sides of the coin laying in like a box or something, but in his hand, they never showed both sides. I'm not saying that's what happened. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
My question is, why is it in the rule books that it's a catch and flip? Why ain't you letting it hit the ground?
I don't. And then he said he was practicing. I'm like, this man gonna be mad.
Did you see Vic Schaefer's post game?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he brought it up. He's like, I mean, I'm not trying to go all Kirby Smart or nothing. He's like, but what's Greg Sankey practicing for 2 hours for?
Right. I thought about that too, man. I like, there should be a limit on the practice. Like, hey, practice 10 times and that's it. It's not like he was practicing, 21 times, and then on the 22nd time, it just happened to be South Carolina, which, we'll take it.
Right. EMW Marcus said they did rush him though. They did. They was like they asked him like a question or two, and then they said, well, everybody's come to see the coin flip. Let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like they didn't give him a lot of time. I guess they wanted to talk about the halftime of Ole Miss LSU as well. But I just thought that was funny when I was watching. I was like, he didn't show the other side of the coin. I was like, look at him out here with that two-faced coin.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, you can use that as a little motivation, though. I think that's a good bring up, though, man. It's like, man, it could go either ways. It could go, hey, we shouldn't have left it to a coin toss. We should have beat them in South Carolina, or hey, they left this up to a coin toss, and we need to show them why that coin toss was wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? The conversation can go two different ways.
Right.
But in all fairness, if the SEC was serious about women's basketball, which I think they will be going forward, South Carolina wipes the floor with Texas in any tiebreaker scenario that they would use. So they got really lucky that they got to even get to a coin toss. I mean, it shouldn't have even. If you use the point spread in the head-to-head, South Carolina wins the point spread in the head-to-head, and then I think if you use the point spread versus the opponents in the SEC, South Carolina wins that. So, but it did come down to a coin toss, and fortunate for South Carolina, they got the number 1 seed. I think honestly, regardless of whether South Carolina or Texas got the number 1 seed, I think we're headed for a South Carolina-Texas rematch in the championship. It's just the games will look a little different. So that's been our preview of the SEC women's basketball tournament. We appreciate y'all joining in with us, man. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Turn on your bell notification. We will be doing the NCAA tournament preview, basically focusing on the SEC teams and where they will finish and the regions that they play in and things of that nature, how far they can make. And can the SEC win the whole thing, whether it be South Carolina, Texas, LSU, or Bama, or UK, or somebody else. So make sure y'all hit that bell notification when you subscribe, man, so you can turn so you know when we go live. Something else I wanted to say. I forgot all about it. Just that quick. Oh, if you're gonna be in the area in Greenville, South Carolina plays on Friday. That's the morning session. We'll be at the morning session. We'll be at the semis and maybe at that championship too. You know what I'm saying? Getting caught up. We getting caught up in the madness. So make sure you check out Chuckin Buckets. You know what I'm saying? It'll either be the regular Chuckin Buckets logo or the one in the top left-hand corner. But again, thank you guys for participating with us. And we'll be back next week. KB, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, that's it, man. I'm glad you touched on the tournament thing, man. Like I said, we definitely gonna be kind of sprinkled in through the tournament. If you see us, man, kind of pull us to the side, man. Pull me to the side. Let's go hit the concession stand. Let's go hit the concession stand, man. We love the interaction, man, and I think it's gonna be a great weekend for women's basketball.
Big fat stat guy, what you got for us as we get out of here?
Hey, man, y'all see me at the game? Go ahead and put your earmuffs on. Sorry for you. I get loud.
Right. Stat guy does get very loud, and especially if the game is closer than his liking. So, hey, man, that'll do it for us, man, here at Chuckin Buckets, man. Again, we appreciate y'all. Hit the like, comment, and subscribe. For my guy, KB, Stat guy, I'm Coach I. We out of here.
Peace.